Go. There it is. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So today I will be doing a speech on why I believe there should be mental health programs in schools. So I want you to think back on your life when you had a stressful moment or when you felt mentally tired or drained. And as an adult, what resources did you have or know about that you could partake in? Or have you experienced or had coping mechanisms that have helped you up into your adulthood? But now let's think about our youth and what assistance do they have, especially in their toughest years of their childhood when they're at school? Do they even know about the resources that they have or that they could potentially have at the schools? So I'm going to be going over why I think there should be mental health programs in schools for our youth. So I have a 14-year-old daughter who's in this video, who has been overly stressed and school has kind of gotten to her. I've been able to look at therapy sessions for her and also speak about the importance of mental health and being open about that. Being a police officer, I've also seen firsthand how mental health decline in our school-age children and the mental health resources that are available for our youth. So mental health, it includes our emotional, psychological, and our social well-being, and it's what makes people feel a certain way, think a certain way, or act a certain way. So mental health programs, I feel, would be very beneficial for our youth if provided in a safe and a free environment, such as our schools. So I'm going to talk about the science, statistics, and the resources for mental health in our youth. So according to mentalhealth.gov, mental health includes, again, our emotional, psychological, and our social well-being, and it affects how we think, feel, and act. It can also determine how we handle the stress, how we relate to others, and how we make our choices. There's early signs of mental health that we should be on the lookout for as well, and some of those would be restlessness, feelings of being hopeless, fatigue, struggles with concentration, irritability, or trouble sleeping. According to some physicians, you need 5 of 7 symptoms in order to actually be diagnosed with mental health. And some of those would be changes in sleep, new onset of guilt, changes in energy level, changes in concentration, appetite, motivation, or thoughts of suicide. There's also different classifications of mental health. 3 would be generalized anxiety, where you worry about just your everyday situations. Social phobias, where teens feel insecure or self-conscious in social settings. And depression, which is just this constant feeling of emptiness, sadness, or anxiety. So a couple statistics that I have for you too. 9.4% of kids ages 3 to 17 are actually diagnosed with anxiety. 8.9% are diagnosed with behavioral problems, and 4.4% are diagnosed with depression. What's even scarier is the suicide statistics. Suicide is actually the 4th leading cause of death among individuals from the ages of 15 to 29. So with such staggering statistics, what can we do to help? Well, the CDC has shown statistics of when youth feel as though they are being cared for and supported at their schools, it actually has a positive impact on them. Youth that felt connected with the adults within the schools were less likely to report the sense of feeling hopeless. It's almost a 35% compared to a 53%. Youth that felt the same connectedness at the schools were far less considering suicide. This percentage is 14% compared to 26%. Some resources that my daughter's school has. One, they do mental health surveys where they fill out the survey that kind of gauges where their mental health is. It's a way for kids to provide information without having to speak to somebody directly, and it's anonymous. Prior to the survey, there is an email sent out to the parents, and we can opt our children out of that survey if we so choose to do so. Another resource that the school offers is a partnership with a local counseling clinic. They offer a school-based mental health meeting, and these services are done by licensed clinical therapists who specialize in serving school-aged youth. They provide it at elementary, middle school, and high schools. And they do it during school hours, so the kids aren't missing as much school during that time. The advantage of this resource is, again, that it removes the barrier of students that may feel when it comes to the mental health services. It gives students a familiar and comfortable setting to talk. These meetings, again, are provided in the school, so it reduces their time out of classes. And then it helps coordinate services with schools, staff, and family. So I think that's one of the best services that my daughter's school offers. Another thing that my daughter's school had offered was meetings with the counselor. So during my deployments, I set up meetings for my daughter and the school counselor, and they met 1 to 2, sometimes 3 times a week, and that really helped her during my long deployments. One other thing that's kind of newer in some of the neighboring states is actually having mental health days. So instead of just having sick days for when you're physically ill, some schools are actually looking at offering up mental health days. Now, these are going to be kind of recorded in a sense, so they're not being abused. And in some states, such as Oregon, if they take more than 2 or 3 in a row, it will be alerted and they will be recommended to go speak with a therapist. But these are something that's kind of becoming more of the mainstream in certain schools. And I think that's something that is really beneficial. Education Week gave a statistic stating that 75% of parents feel as though schools should give mental health days, and 56% of parents have let their kids take days off of school for their mental health, regardless of the school's policy. So some of the things that we can look out for our kids if they have to take a mental health day is if they're feeling overwhelmed, big school events, upsetting situations at the school, like a fight, or worried about a big project, or if they just finished a big project, maybe there's a divorce or death of a pet or a family member. These are all things that we could kind of gauge with our own children and possibly give them a mental health day. So I want you guys to sit and think, if you had a child that was experiencing mental health issues and the majority of their time was spent in school, are these some programs that you would be interested in having available to your children? So I've given you some points to think about regarding our youth and mental health. So again, I went over the staggering statistics of our youth and mental health and all the different programs that are now being provided at the schools. And I want you to put yourself in the shoes of parents whose children may be experiencing this and ask, what resources are available to my kids? Thanks for listening.